What is up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, coming at you live every Wednesday at 8 p.m., going over the market stats, the local news you need to know about if you think about buying, selling, or investing here in St. Augustine. And we're also doing a Q&A live here, so if you do have any questions, if you're watching the replay as well, go ahead and drop them in the comments below and get the conversation started here. Last week, we had a lot of people on here. We had it going back and forth, a whole bunch of questions. It really helps the engagement here, guys. So appreciate you. If you leave any comments, you have any questions, go ahead and leave them below. Like we do every week, we'll go ahead and we'll get started on the market stats. This week is, we haven't really seen too much of a change in much of anything. Interest rates have seemed to go up a good bit, which is not exactly ideal, but demand is still good. Our areas, like I'll cover every single week, we're seeing inventory kind of stay at the same place. Hasn't really gone up. It's gone up slightly. Yesterday, this was sub 5,300, but it hasn't gone up really that drastically like we would expect for the spring market. As of right now, we would expect a lot more listings hitting the market, and they're not. And that's because of a variety of factors, mostly to do with interest rates today. But we are hopefully going to start seeing some more listings, and hopefully the last week or the week before that was the bottom of our inventory for this year as we go to the spring and summer selling months. So we'll keep tabs on that, of course. And we got some stories today we're going to follow up on that we've been following for several months now. But as always, let's take a look at the hot sheet here. Let's take a look what's happened this past week since we've been away. So we got 1,277 new listings and 861 closed. So let's say that's, 9 out of 13 homes are, closing and going off of the market. And then we have 4 homes left over essentially. So let's take a look at new listings and then pending and continue taking backup. So we like to group that together, the pending and continue taking backup as under contract. So you have 1,073 and 479. So roughly, let's say 1,500 homes versus 1,300 homes going under contract, then coming to the market. So we're seeing some stuff go off market more than we have coming to the market. Now, we can see price changes here in line pretty much with all the new listings coming to the market, which is what you would expect to see. And back on market, we had, at one point when interest rates were skyrocketing up to 7%, which they've been going up this past week, we saw a lot of back on markets, and that's because the interest rate changed so drastically for people that, it changed how much they could afford on a monthly basis. So they went from qualifying for that home to not qualifying for that home within the matter of 30, 45 days, just because how rapidly interest rates rose. So we saw a lot more back on markets. We've seen that settle down in the past couple months, which is always a good thing. So people are closing on their homes. They're doing what they want to do. Oh man, was I not sharing my screen the whole time? I hope I was. Well, either way, let's get on to the first news story here, guys. Hope you heard that if I wasn't sharing my screen. My mistake if I wasn't. I've been making some mistakes like that recently on live streams, and also working with people, through the buyer consultation, which we do. And if you want to schedule an appointment, you can through the Calendly link, should be in the description below. But let's take a look at the first news story here. This is something that I'm pretty excited about here. This barbershop was closed down last year. A fire happened. The owner announced a $10,000 reward for the suspects, but they have a new building and it looks fantastic. It's right on West King Street, which is right across the street from US 1 in downtown St. Augustine. So they're, I guess they won't be able to see it here, but they've built it all brand new. And it's one of the best barbershops here in St. Augustine. So if you do need a good cut, it's a great place to go. And from the remodel, it looks like they're doing a great job over there. So definitely wanted to shout that out here. It's one of my favorite. I go down to my buddy's garage to get my haircut, but there's another barber in there. His name's Hector. He literally gives the best haircut in the entire city of St. Augustine. So much so that I would go to him, but you have to schedule with him weeks in advance. So sometimes you just need to cut on the fly and you got to go to your other guy. So with Hector, it's like sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance because of how booked out he is. He's got one packed schedule. So if you do need a haircut, go ahead and check out Hector over there at the King's Chair. I'm sure he'll be thankful. On to the next news story, guys. And I'm going to keep it short tonight. I know I say that pretty much every night, and then I end up going on a tangent on something, but I'll do my best tonight. Let's head on to the next news story here. Now, this is I found really, really interesting here, right? Off the charts tourism numbers for January and February in St. Johns County. The amount of bed tax collected in January 2023 was up 27% over the last year. So essentially, within St. Johns County, we're doing more numbers than we did last year, which is a good thing, especially with everything going on in the world today. They say that the reason for that is primarily because everything costs more. Planes cost more, gas costs more, so people are choosing if they want to get out and have a little bit of a vacation, maybe a staycation, they're going to more of a local place. They're not traveling as far as they once were. So that's why I think St. Augustine's doing really, really well. I also think it's just gotten a lot more popularity over the past couple of years. You'd see news stories from Southern Living that probably said it was the hidden gem years ago, and now it's the best town, according to Southern Living, in the South. So I just think that's part of the course here. St. Augustine's a beautiful town. It's a great place to visit. And I think throughout the summer, we're probably going to have a record summer as well, especially with everything going on in the world here. So traveling abroad, maybe not as attractive as it once was several years ago, but we'll stay on top of it, guys. All right, guys. So if you do have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Going over the market stats, the local news you need to know about. And quick question for you guys. I'm thinking maybe this might be better at a bi-weekly set. I'm not entirely sure on it. I like doing it weekly, but sometimes it's wildly inconvenient. Like last week, I was so busy. This week, I was pretty busy as well. And it's just one of those things where it's like, if I did it bi-weekly, maybe I can bring more bang for your buck. But either way, on to the next news story here. St. Augustine Shipyard project aims to expand with more homes. So we've talked about this project before. It's right behind Target on US 1. And there's major concerns with people in that area, the other residents in that area, because they already have some flooding. And that's the biggest concern. So I'm guessing it's this big tract of land back here. Just guessing by how many homes they want to put in there. I think it was 55 homes they want to put in there. And neighbors are obviously worried because they're going to be building this up so that it doesn't flood. And that's that the people that are living next door want to know, like, okay, well, where is that water going to go, right? So it's just off US 1 behind the Target store. It's going to be 14 acres of land. Now, the problem is, so what the CEO says is that every single structure in this development is not out of the 100-year floodplain, but will be out of the 500-year floodplain. But residents such as the Pellissier family, who is a notable family here in St. Augustine, a lot of people know that they've been here for a long, long time, probably known as, they might be Menorcan, which is essentially the traces of Spanish origins in St. Augustine. The other neighbors said that they grew up here, and that Desco used to dump paint, fiberglass, and tar when it used to build boats out there. So they're wondering if the soil has been tested. I imagine that they probably had to go through all those loops and the loopholes. Maybe that's the right word. Maybe not just loops. There are some loopholes they had to go through. They said there was an extensive cleanup of the site, but if you're living next door and someone builds a 50-unit development next to you, which is going to have a seawall, it's going to deter other water. Where does that water go, right? If you already have water kind of coming up on your land a little bit, when it's when the tides do go up and we get tons of rain, that's definitely a cause for concern. But overall, they say that this is going to improve the floodplain area for everyone. Don't know how that works, but that's what they say, and if they wrote it down, it's probably true, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? You think that's bullshit, or do you think that's true? I think back there would be a great little neighborhood, honestly. But the safety concerns, if there are oils and fiberglass and everything in the dirt, what does that mean if you're living right on top of it? I honestly don't know. I'm not an expert in that kind of stuff. But I guess it's worth knowing before you move in, right? So let's go ahead and share another news story here. And ba, ba, ba. All right, guys, now we've talked about this. Teacher bonuses, key issues as negotiations break down again between district and the St. Johns County School Teachers Union. 77% of the school teachers union voted against the raise that they were negotiating with St. Johns County. It's since gone to a mediator trying to figure this thing out. And they've honestly, I mean, it doesn't sound like they're coming to much of a conclusion. I think we were talking before that they make $45,000 a year and they want to raise it up to $48,000 a year. I mean, that's really probably not making a dent for a lot of these teachers. So I don't really think that's great. I think it should definitely be above 50, but they do have an outline of this compensation proposal here. So it's going to cost them $2.9 million based on evaluation scores. So this is a bonus structure, it looks like. So highly effective, you get a $1,700 bonus. Effective, $1,284. Grandfather, $1,284. So one-time bonus, increasing teacher salary to $963. So not that much. Increase associate teacher pay to $35,000, and adjust salary schedule for new hires, help with decompression. So what do you guys think about that? I personally believe that the incentive program there, I like that. I like that. Hey, if your kids are all scoring better, then you should make more money, right? As a teacher, from the government's like, hey, thanks for taking care of the future of America. But those bonuses, I mean, $1,500 over the course of a year, that's nothing. That's $100 a month. I looked at the change in interest rate and costs, and it's like, all right, so let's say they're a St. Johns County teacher, they're going to buy a home probably around like the $250,000 to $300,000 with their potential spouse's income, let's say. The difference of interest rate on a $300,000 house between like 3.5 and 6.5 is about $700 a month. So does that $100 really help? I definitely don't think that is enough in terms of bonuses. Like, hey, if we want to incentivize teachers to really teach these kids, why not make it like $5,000? And then maybe it's because St. Johns County already has such good teachers. Like they're like, all right, well, if we make it $5,000, everyone's getting $5,000. I don't know. I feel like the bonus should be a lot higher. What do you guys think? I think the bonus should be higher. I like the idea of having like, here's your base pay and here's an incentivized pay if you do based on performance. Is that too much pressure to put on teachers? Is that the right amount of pressure? I don't know. I like it. I think I like the bonus incentive plan because it incentivizes good work, right? And it's like, if you're not doing the most, then you get the base pay, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. It's just me talking off the top here, guys. So let's see what we got here. We got Love Nature, one of the best viewers of our show, super fan. Hey, Thomas, today made sure not to miss another great live. Hope all is well. Everything is well. Everything's well. Things are good. We got some exciting things that I don't want to release to you guys just yet. Exciting things happening for me and my wife and my dog. But we're getting some cool things done here in town. And people talk about, the recession and the housing crash and everything. And a lot, thanks to people like Love Nature and everyone here watching, we're doing just fine. And we're seeing competitiveness here in St. Johns County in terms of homes. The best homes are going like that. If they're priced correctly, they're moving off the market. Incentives. We've seen, like, for example, my brother and sister-in-law, or my sister and brother-in-law, they got a great incentive on a house in Palatka that sits on 100-foot of waterfront, where they got the seller to pay all their closing costs, a little bit of a rate buy down. Great deal. And it seems that as we've gotten further along in this year, you could negotiate purchase price and you can negotiate closing costs from the seller. And now it's kind of like, all right, well, you can get one, you may not get the other. And that's kind of what we're seeing here recently as our inventory has gone down, as interest rates have kind of lightened up a little bit. People come back to the market during the spring and summertime. Oh, my voice is going, guys. I'm sorry. Did a lot of talking today. But Love Nature, appreciate you being here. You're the best. Let's see, Debbie, absolutely pay the teachers. Yeah, I mean, I think we have the money to do it here in St. Johns County. I think what we need to do is revisit raising sales tax again here in St. Johns County. I think when they talked about it, there wasn't enough education on it. And also, it was at like the height of inflation. So they're like, hey, inflation's at the highest point and interest rates are at the highest point. Let's vote on property taxes being raised, or well, let's vote on a half. Is it a percent or a half percent? I can't remember what it was. Raise in sales tax. And because of what was going on in the world, people were like, no, we can't do that. But they're going to get that money from somewhere, right? So do we want it to come from the people that live here, the residents that live here through property taxes? Or do we want it to come from the majority of the people that are visiting us, right? That tourist dollar where we can get them with the sales tax, right? So it's kind of more or less taken off the property owners. I don't know. I think there needs to be more education on it. I think that's probably a good way to go. And we could pay these teachers more. I mean, $48,000 a year. I mean, hey, at least they're getting a raise. You know, it's tough to complain about that, but I mean, maybe the incentive should be way better. I think the incentive should be, you know, $5,000, you know, at a minimum. And it's like, if you're like teacher of the school district or teacher of the county or something like that, then you get like a $5,000 bonus plus a $10,000 bonus. I don't know, something to incentivize and get a little competition going. But we got to pay these guys. I believe that 100%. Great schools means great resale and a great community. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main, what do they say? Like, they say there's like 5 Ds of real estate, where it's like death, divorce, diapers, something else. I don't remember. It's something where it's like major life events that causes people to buy and sell homes. But death, divorce, diapers, so your family's growing, or your family's getting smaller. Typically a reason for people to buy and sell real estate. So that's something that's always going to happen regardless of how the market's going, because people just sometimes need to buy or sell. So yeah, that's definitely one of the major driving factors. People want to have good schools for their kids, right? And as long as we have good schools, great resale, great community, that's a big driving factor of the real estate market. And which is why St. Johns County has a strong real estate market right now. It's because so many people are relocating for that exact reason. But Debbie, thank you so much for your comment. Let's go to Ozzy. Ozzy, you got a good question here. Do you know of any new construction plans, residential, commercial, west of US 1 across from Palencia, or any developments along the 9-mile road between I-95 and US 1? Okay. So new construction development just depends how close you want to be to Palencia. If you want to be right on US 1, I mean, they've got Bannon Lakes out there. If you're looking for a 55 plus community, Parkland Preserve is a great little spot. Cordova Palms, which I covered a couple weeks ago. And apparently, just to recap here, so Cordova Palms is right off US 1. It's pretty much right across from Palencia, maybe like a half mile or a mile down the road. Cordova Palms Dreamfinders community, and they had an issue with buyers going for their inspections and finding bullet holes on the side of their house, because there's a saltwater shooters club, which is we're one of the places where people shoot long-range rifles here in the area. They never had a problem before because there was so much forest and trees and everything like that they never hit any houses or had any issues. Apparently since then, they've now, I know someone that actually a potential buyer for area that actually shoots over there. He's from Central Florida. He shoots over there and says that apparently they've now redirected the long-range rifles away from Cordova Palms. So that may be a good place for you to check out. Also, it really just depends on your price range. You know, it's very hard. There's stuff in Palencia that you can get. You know, just depends on your price range if that's where you want to be. Or any plans of development along the 9-mile road between I-95 and US 1. I-95 and US 1. I'd have to look at a map and get back to you. If you just reach out to me through email, we can set up something and then we can have a video chat and then we can go through everything and we can take a look at a couple of the communities. Let's see here. What are some of the best non-CDD communities in St. Johns County? One that comes off the top of my mind right now, and it's just because it's one of the most massive communities, is Silverleaf. I mean, they have no CDD in that community, but their HOA, I think, for the entire year is around $1,700. I think it's a little bit more than $1,700. Now, I imagine that's going to go up because it's a massive community. They're going to have 15,000 homes, 4 amenity centers. So I imagine that price will go up, but still $1,700 for the year is not bad at all. Now, I would say in terms of the best non-CDD communities, the thing is with CDD is the CDD and HOA, I like to tell pretty much everyone that I talk to is just think of it as an HOA. Like the best way to think of it is your monthly housing cost, right? And just think as you're making that payment, it's just another HOA payment, right? Because there's two parts of the CDD. You have your operation and maintenance, which is forever. And then you also have a bond portion, which can be paid off. The bond portion is individual to the parcel. So the property that you own potentially, that bond portion is individual that you can pay it off. So it's a little bit cheaper for you on the monthly. But you essentially just want to look at is what's my monthly payment, right? We all live month to month. So there's some communities that have I think Entrada, for example, of DR Horton, they have an $80 a year HOA, right? So the homeowners association is $80 a year. That's it. But their CDD comes out to like, what is it? $2,200 a year, something like that. So their entire monthly debt obligation for what most people know it as is just like the maintenance for the entire community comes up to about $220 a month. It came out to around that number. So I would just look at it as in total monthly debt obligation for that service, right? So what do you expect of an HOA? I'd just say the same thing with the CDD and then combine that monthly number. On average, your HOA and CDD combined is going to be somewhere between $200 and $400 a year. So long-winded answer there, Ozzy. Hope that was a little helpful. But Silverleaf, they're just starting to build that community. It's going to be massive. I mean, I imagine they probably have like 2,000 homes in there, maybe 3. I'm not entirely sure. I think I covered that previously, but you run into so many numbers nowadays, you forget a couple. But the more you're buying new construction, they're going to always use the comps as they move along. So if you bought a house, 3 months ago, you're a comp for the house they're trying to sell 3 months from now. And the goal is to raise that price and keep going up, going up, going up. If you're at the beginning of a community, it could be very, very helpful. So appreciate that question, Ozzy. That was a great one. Let's see, Gold Star. I noticed rentals have slowed down quite a bit. So according to what I just saw here, I mean, the bed tax in St. Johns County went up 27% from last year. So I'm not sure what you mean. I've heard rentals nationally have actually come down, right? So for the longest time, rentals have been going up and up and up, month over month on average. They're talking about percentages. And this last month, I think they went down like 0.02%. So not a major decline, but that's what I've heard nationally. Now here, I just covered a news story about the bed tax here, which hotels have to pay here in St. Johns County being 27% higher than 2022. And then also pretty much all the hotels that they're looking at are saying like, yeah, and our prices are way higher too. So that was pretty interesting to read. Of course, that'll be here in the description. I'm not sure if you saw that, Gold Star, or you're just joining us here later, but elaborate a little bit. Are you a property manager here in St. Johns County? Or are you in Jacksonville? Or are you just talking in general, or news story you saw? Just a little bit more detail. But I'll come back to you guys here. I think I have one more news story here. Let me see. Oh, and this kind of goes into what we were talking about with new construction, and what strategy that builders are having when it comes down to selling homes, because that's their main thing. And I got to say, I'm a big fan of this community. I love it. If I could live there, I'd live there, but I'm not, I'm not 55, so I can't. Maybe I should divorce my wife and find a cougar and I'd be allowed to live there. Dreamfinders Home Division head speaks out on active adult strategy. So this is the amenity center at the Reverie of Trailmark, which is a beautiful community. They're on their second phase of building right now. They have 3 phases in total. and they're going to be, let's see, 560 home sites, and they recently opened this community center. So this thing is brand new. The first phase was pretty much completed before this was in there. So I had someone who actually, man, I forgot what the deal they called it, but I think they called it, because it's Trail Mark, they called it Trailblazers program. So he got in like with probably one of the first like 100 homes in the community. I think he got in altogether for maybe it was 280. It was several years ago. But he's got a great little house in this beautiful community. They got like this nice little beer garden that's off in the forest and everything, with the Edison lights hanging down. They're part of the master community of Trailmark. So they have access to all the amenities that Trailmark has, as well as having their own amenity center within Reverie Trailmark. So it's a fantastic little community, and it's nice because you have your own little space where you can, it's just for 55 plus, just active adult. And then like if you have family or something, they're in the actual Trailmark development, then you can have, go over there, hang out with the kids, do what you got to do. And then you have your little gated section at Reverie Trailmark. That being said, Dreamfinders has kind of coined Reverie as their 55 plus community. So now they have a Reverie Silverleaf. They're starting to build that, which we just talked about being a massive community. And they also have Reverie, I can't remember what it is, but it's in Palm Coast. It's off of US 1. They're just starting to build out that community over there. And so is DR Horton. Man, I can't talk today. So is DR Horton. They're also building out another 55 plus community, which I think is called Sawmill Branch, which is right on US 1. And the great thing about being in US 1 in Palm Coast is it's just straight shot right up to St. Augustine. Very easy to get around. And you still have the ability to live. You get your bang for your buck down in Palm Coast, and you still have the ability to drive 30 minutes, 40 minutes to downtown St. Augustine. So great little spot. So guys, if you do have any questions about what we're covering here, any questions, any comments, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I do a live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. going over the market stats, the local news that you need to know about if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing here in the area. And we also do a Q&A. I try to save it for the end. So if you do have any comments, you have any questions about buying, selling, or investing here, or just, places to eat, places to hang out, fire them below, because we got 11 people on here. So I'm here for you guys every Wednesday at 8 p.m. live. So I'm here for you guys to ask questions. So fire them off. But let me see. I think I had one more news story here. That might have been my last one, actually. But we can pull up one more because I got one that I've been looking at now. This is pretty interesting. And this also goes along with what we're talking about here in today's world. I'm a buyer in today's market, right? Interest rates go up, it definitely affects me. I want interest rates to go down, but if interest rates go down as aggressively as we all hope and think they will, then that's also going to bring a whole bunch of people back into the game to buy houses. So the competition then becomes stiffer, right? So if you are on the fence about buying and you're like, oh man, I don't know, I might win, I might lose, or I don't know what's going to happen, and maybe you're close to qualifying, you've lost offers in the past, I think today is still one of the best times to get in. I actually just stumbled a whole bunch of houses that a local builder here is building for sub 350 new construction homes in St. Johns County, 20 minutes to the beach, probably all of them. And they're great little houses. So I think there's tons of opportunity in today's market before interest rates start to head down. And once interest rates head down, then competition comes back in because we're then in a lower interest rate environment. And that monthly payment is a lot more manageable. It could be a shit show, guys. I don't know. But right now we're still able to negotiate some deals if you're a buyer on the fence. I think it's definitely worth having a conversation about what that might look like for you today. So let me share my screen and I will share. Give me 1 second. And that's what we're going to talk about, guys. Interest rates, right? The dreaded interest rates. Oh my gosh, these guys. Unbelievable. Let me block your ads, okay? Mortgage demand rebounds even as interest rate hit the highest level in over a month. The average contract interest rate for 30-year fixed rate mortgages with confirming loan balances increased to 6.55% from 6.43%. Mortgage applications to buy a home, which had plummeted the week before, rose 5%. Applications to refinance a home increased 2%, but they're 51% lower than the same week 1 year ago. And that's pretty obvious because interest rates are way higher. I mean, I think if you have under a 6.5% interest rate, then you have an interest rate, like 99% of people are in that, right? So it's like 70% of people are sub 4% with their interest rate. So the refinance game for lenders has completely left the window, essentially. So every day that interest rates go up, that's one major facet of lenders' businesses that they're just missing out on, which is why you're seeing some issues with banks today, right? They don't have the refinance game like they did last year. So yeah, you couldn't get a contract last year because there was no inventory. Competition was so stiff. Well, the good thing is that anyone that had an interest rate above 3.5%, 4%, you could refinance them into a 3.5%, 4% interest rate, saving them money, making you a little bit of money. Today, that's not happening. So very interesting, guys. But hey, it looks like we don't have any other questions. So I'm going to go ahead and get off for the night. Kind of weird. I'll see you guys next Wednesday at 8 p.m. I'm here live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. going over the market stats, the local news you need to know about, and doing a live Q&A. So if you do have any questions, you're watching it live, you're watching the replay, make sure you drop those questions below. I do come back and try to answer any comments, questions that I do miss. Sometimes Google's notifications are not the best and I miss some, so I do apologize. It's not on purpose. But guys, I appreciate you being here. Have a great night. I'll see you next week.